Hello everyone, my name is Marion Devilliers. Let me share my presentation. So I work as a climate researcher at the Danish Meteorological Institute, and I'm going to present to you today's results from some freshwater forcing experiments around Greenland with two climate models. This work was partly done with some researchers from the CNRS laboratories, l'Océan and EPOC. So this work is motivated by the increasing freshwater fluxes from Greenland ice sheet melting, as shown in this figure from the last IPCC report, and the fact that CM6 models do not correctly account for these fluxes. As the additional input may disrupt the North Atlantic freshwater budget, we propose here to force the models externally with the freshwater fluxes dataset based on observation. So this is the methodology we are using. After disabling the iceberg module in our climate model, we replace the runoff values with a combination of reconstructed runoff and iceberg around Greenland. We then run several members from 1920 to 2014 with this freshwater forcing. This ensemble is called afterwards the melting ensemble, and we compare this ensemble to a control or historical ensemble, which is composed of the same simulations but without freshwater forcing. So the dataset we are using is from the work of Bamber et al. 2018, which provides monthly values from 1958 to 2016 for both runoff and solid ice from Greenland and surrounding regions. The color lines show the values for the different components of the dataset, ice and tundra runoff from Greenland and surrounding, and the solid ice components. The values are red on the left side, and the black line is the total, which is red on the right side. The dotted lines are the yearly mean, while the continue line is the 5-year moving mean. So we use the estimation of the annual ice runoff from Box and Colgan to extend the fluxes in the past. Our experiments start in 1920 in order to account for the large melting of the 20s. This is the spatial distribution of the fluxes average over the period of the experiment. We apply to the solid ice component a fixed spatial redistribution obtained from satellite data during the Altibert project. So now I'm going to show you some results from the experiment with the IPSL-CM6-LR model, which is a French climate model that participates to the CM6 exercise. So we are first comparing the time average sea surface salinity from the melting ensemble to the one with freshwater forcing to the control or historical ensemble. Both ensembles have 10 members here. We observe a wide surface freshening in the North Atlantic of about 0.1 PSU with a maximum of 0.5 in the Baffin Bay. An increase of about 0.2 PSU was found in the Arctic, and this salinity signal was also found in previous cruising experiments where a large amount of freshwater was spread over the North Atlantic. So if we have a look at the convection sites, we can see that there's the Meridional convection site is more active in the melting ensemble, and we observe a reduction of the convective activity in the Labrador and the Nordic Sea. Again, we are comparing here the two ensembles, the melting and the historical one, and this is January, February, March mixed layer depth averaged over the whole experiment, the period of the experiment. As a result of the reduction of the convective activity, the AMOC showed a slight slowing up to 0.4 Sverdrup when averaged over the time of the experiment. So this is far less than some recent estimate, but we believe that the resolution may have played a role here. And if you are interested in more details, please, the study has been published last year. Please refer to the study. Now, moving on to the EC-Earth3 model, another CM6 model developed by several centers in Europe. So in this experiment, we are adding 5.5 milliliter drop on average over the period. Here are plotted the time series of the historical runs and our freshwater forcing runs. The maximum difference is found in the 1920s and the 1990s and is about 18 milliliter drop. Looking at the sea surface salinity, the difference between the two ensembles, which are composed here of 7 members for now, we find a large freshening in the Baffin Bay at the surface and an increase in the Arctic salinity, concentrated between 100 meters and 300 meters, which might be the results of some changes in the circulation, and we really want to look more closely to that. So on the left side here on the figure, on the left side is the surface of the difference of the salinity between the two ensembles, and on the right side is the salinity average between the depths 100 and 300 meters. Here, regarding the convection sites and the hammock, so on the left side here, I plotted the difference again in January, February, March mixed layer depth over the periods between the two ensembles, and on the right side is a plot of the Atlantic Meridional stream function. So as you can see, we have an opposite signal to what we found with the IPSL-CM6-LR model over the whole period. The January, February, March mixed layer depth is deeper in the Labrador and Nordic Sea in the melting ensemble than in the historical one. As a result, we obtain an increase of the hammock of about 0.4 sverdrop at 45 knots over the period. However, looking at time series of the hammock at 45° north, here on the left side, we observe that the spread of the melting ensemble in blue here, which is 1 standard deviation here, is reduced at the end of the experiment. And while the hammock seems to be decreasing rapidly, we see a development of the stratification in the Labrador and the Nordic Sea in the last years of the experiment, as plotted on the left side here, on the right side here, which is a 2009-2014 mean. So this is a very work in progress. We have to test how significant the signals are, and we might have to increase our ensemble size. A quick last note before I move on to the take-home message is that we performed an ocean-only freshwater forcing experiment at a 1/4 degree resolution, and with this one-member experiment, ocean-only, freshwater went directly to the Labrador Sea and reduced the hammock by 2.5 drop after only 13 years. By 2 sverdrop, sorry, after only 13 years. So this was published this year, and it made us believe again that the resolution of the mesoscale processes and realistic boundary currents are very important when studying the impact of Greenland ice sheet melting. Here's my take-home message. So we are forcing our model, our climate model, externally with a realistic input of freshwater forcing from Greenland ice sheet melting. And we observe an impact on the convection processes and an increase of the Arctic salinity. We believe that low resolution is a limiting factor to assess the impact of the increase in fluxes. So new studies are needed, and we are considering several directions. We will apply the same setup to EC-Earth3 or EC-Earth4, which display a 1/4 degree resolution in the ocean, and we want to use machine learning approach to correct the trajectory of the freshwater fluxes. We are also considering to add a refinement to the grid in key areas using the nesting tool Agrif with NEMO 4. I thank you for your attention, and I will be happy to answer any question.
Merci Marion. Marion is connected. Marion is connected to, so she can answer your questions.
Hello.
Are there any questions? Yes, Paul. Do you want?
One, you were showing the increase in the salinity in the Arctic while you were having Baffin Bay freshening. Might that be because by freshening Baffin Bay, you're lifting the dynamic height, reducing the gradient with the Arctic, and thus would that exchange reduced, having more, sorry, I said that backwards. So yeah, anyways, do you see any difference in the exchange through the archipelago as you build up the freshwater in the Labrador Sea? And also you made the comment about the role of increased resolution, but you talked about a 1/24th degree. Is that enough, do you think? Or might you need higher to really resolve the exchange off the West Greenland current?
Can you hear me? Yeah. So yeah, I believe that 1/24 degree was enough in our model to resolve the mesoscale processes, and we had also some fine boundary currents. So I think that was enough. But maybe someone has another opinion. I don't know. And about what happens in the Arctic, we did not yet made any budget to know more about the exchange. So it's definitely something we have to focus on, and we have more work to do there. I really don't know what happens here and why we are building this salinity in the Arctic for now.
I'll just mention on Thursday, I will talk about the Labrador Sea at 1/60th of a degree.
Okay, I will follow that.
Hope Marion could make it, yeah. Maybe a follow-up question. In one of the map you showed, the anomaly, it seems that freshwater was kind of staying in Baffin Bay. And I thought that it could be also outflushed with the Labrador current down south. So is this a matter of resolution, maybe?
I think the freshwater was not kept in Baffin Bay as much with the IPSL-CM6 model, and the two models have the same resolution. So I'm not so sure that is what happened here. But with EC-Earth3, we have a slight enhancement of the MOC. So we have more northward salty water. So this is why maybe the salinity signal is smaller.
Okay, so we have time. So I have one question in the chat, actually two. So the first one would be by Fred Dupont, who asks, what happens in the 1920s to explain that large freshwater input in one of the time series you showed?
Yes, I think I remember there was an increase of the Greenland surface temperature at this period, but maybe some other Greenland specialists could also help answer that.